Hi, I'm Jason Arbin, and I want to show you how Testers.ai can make developers far more productive and ship higher quality code far faster. Because developers don't want to do testing, right? And they don't even really want testers to do the testing, I think, frankly. Also, if you are a tester and you're watching this video, you can also use the same tool. And really what it is additive. It's a bunch of coverage. You can find free bugs for you that you can claim as your own and get a lot more, again, more coverage for your testing time. But this is really focused on developers because it's living in the IDE. This is the development environment where people program. And this is Cursor, this is Windsurf, this is Visual Code with GitHub Copilot. So developers are, asking the Copilot to go off, write a bunch of code, edit it, make modifications, and then come back in a few minutes and load up the web page, test it, see how well it did, find bugs, verify things worked, that kind of thing. But that's really the problem here, is that the AI is making turning developers into testers. And so we want to help people with that by just adding testers, kind of obvious, adding testers to the IDE for you. Let's go in here and let's load some testers up. So we're going to open up a new tab, which is the Testers.ai tab. This is an extension to the IDE. So you can just download it, go to Testers.ai, sign up, you can download this thing and then get running in just minutes. This is what it looks like, kind of like out of the box. We'll walk through this here real quick. So this is good. Again, this is just a walkthrough, give people an idea of what's going on here. So there's a bunch of different testers here, right? And note that they are grayed out. They're grayscale because I want to make sure that reinforce the idea these aren't real people, but they are. I kind of start calling them by name sometimes when I'm using it. But anyway, there's different testers for different areas of testing. So Alejandro is a accessibility tester. There's usability, there's performance, WCAG, GDPR. There's a whole list of them, and they have profiles, and you can see all list of all the things that they actually test for in here. So they test for tons and tons of different things. And there's also testers for different features specifically. So like if you have a chatbot on your web page or application, then Diego has a bunch of test cases, specifically, like around conversation quality and so on and so forth. And we also have this one, which is fun. There's a GenAI code tester. So this is a tester specifically built for apps that were, vibe coded or had AI assistance, because the code that AI generates has specific issues that are, they're common to most AI generated code versus normal human written code. So you'll see things like this, like, placeholders unfinished in the code. You also see, or, console logs and stuff. You also see, error handling, like, is not always super robust in AI generated code. And there's also things like, hard-coded API keys, et cetera, security vulnerabilities, sensitive data written to logs. I get this all the time because it wants to, the AI wants to make it debuggable, or to insert debug points for itself to figure out what's going on, but then it leaves those in there. So there's a lot of generative AI specific code issues that are checked for by this tester specifically. So it's probably worth your time if only you run this one AI testing agent, just to catch those AI specific code bugs. So it's also worth noting, you can come down here, you can also just add a custom tester. So if there's one that's missing and you want to add one, you can add them and you just write a really long prompt, whatever you want, and it will control and tell the agent's brain, right? You can tell it to test anything and what the rules are, what you're checking for, what you expect. So you can create your own custom test team too. This was up here in the corner is your test manager agent. You can change the image, but you can type whatever you want into this test manager. This test manager controls the other testing agents and decides which ones to run, how to, and then particularly we'll see in a minute how to triage the bugs that are found by the AI testing agents. In here, most notably, you can change, a bunch of different settings, but you can also pick, what mode you want it to be in, what color. I don't know, let's go zinc. I like to customize all kind of my dark themes. So anyway, there's also, you can chat with your AI test manager. We'll get to that in a minute. You can pick your model, and enter your own API keys. And, there's also this area for context here. So you can type any context into the test manager that you want. So you can say things like, we are shipping tomorrow, and I really think accessibility is very important, and ignore any branding issues that is tested by someone else thoroughly, or whatever. So when you hit enter, and it will update this context summary here. Before this, I've just been testing with Bing. So I've told it that, yeah, see, given the tight shipping tomorrow deadline, so that it knows it's going to up the triage game. Like it's got to be a higher bar for triage. And see, it's also asked us a question here. What does he want to know? Oh, that's funny. We should balance your desire to focus on accessibility exactly with the need to address any critical blockers, because typically accessibility gets a lower priority, right? But I've said, hey, we're shipping really, so the bar needs to be really high. We're trying to ship as soon as possible, but I care about accessibility. So still check those accessibility things. So if I was even particularly like a government agency or something like that, or I was worried about just compliance in the EU, I may really want to, and I'm a very big brand or company, I got to be really careful about that. So anyway, it already is known. It's even followed up with, can follow up with questions. You have a conversation with the agent and it will ask enough questions to figure out what you want to do. It's almost like if you talk to your test manager, you go like, here's the context for this week, right? So let's just go ahead and we can just get to the fun here. So it knows that Bing.com is what we want to test right now. We just hit the play button and it starts testing. So we'll go through this real quick, but it's going to load the Bing webpage here. So in the background, it's load up the website. And what it's doing right now is extracting all the page artifacts. So network traffic, console logs, a list of all the elements that are interesting, and page text, etc. And then it's done already a quick acceptance test. It's made sure this page isn't a server error, page not found, CAPTCHA, etc., to make sure it's worthy of full and deep testing. And then the AI manager has done this. It's gone in and picked the right testers for this test pass. So it's picked May. It knows because May is specific to search box testing. And guess what? This is a search page. So she's going to test a screenshot and page text. And then here's the general testers. These are not page feature specific. These are just like security, privacy, high level things. And you can turn these folks on and off. So if you wanted to have JSON on or off, you just toggle them. And if you don't want to look at console logs, you shut that off. So you can control your test team, and then the AI test manager will remember that for the next run. Let me look. Oh, we're getting ahead of ourselves. So if we look down here, there's personas. So personas are emulated users, right? And so we'll see that in a second, the details, but the AI will automatically create users based on the type of people that you'd expect to be using your website. And you get qualitative feedback. So, hey, this is confusing, or the site doesn't look very good or very modern. Just that kind of qualitative fuzzy feedback, which is pretty useful. And most test teams don't give you that. And then we've got the test execution queue here, right? So this is for everything in that matrix. The security analysis is going to be performed on console logs. It's actually already been completed, and these other ones are running. But you can get an idea that, so there's testing going on. There's and they test about 5-6 testers in parallel at a given time are testing things. But it creates a queue and it starts executing them. So you realize we've just loaded the tab, hit play with a URL in it, and we're already getting test results. That's pretty cool if you're a test nerd, but especially if you're a developer, because guess what? You could actually kick this off, go get your next coffee and come back, or go or browse some other websites or something. So let's look at this too. Look at these real quick. Yeah. So here's a persona feedback. You can see here, I created these two personas, and Robert, and there's an overall kind of analysis. So you get a high level score. It's visually appealing, daily backgrounds. It's all cool. Likes that stuff. Detail feedback. So, it gets a 4 out of 5 on content. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. While diverse, Discover content can sometimes feel generic or clickbaity. I can actually see that. Someone's getting paid for click-through on that page. It's on their review scores over at Microsoft. But reviews things like competitive analysis, but it likes that you have, Bing has visual appeal and compared to Google and stuff. And the rewards and watch list are interesting features the other ones don't have, or competitive perspective. So yeah, and it likes the visual analysis. It's like a cool page, prominent high resolution images and scenic landscape. But yeah, it likes it. There's things that it kind of thinks it may be missing, deeper customization options and suggestions. So, not only like just finding bugs, but like, here's a suggestion on maybe what to add or change in the website to make it better. And we can see here, there's Robert specific feedback. Robert's a 62-year-old male, likes local community news. He's a retired school teacher, but he really doesn't like the features. He likes the search box, but he doesn't really use things like rewards and stuff in stock market. They're not for him. So maybe Bing can consider removing that or something. But there's qualitative feedback. Let's look at the issues. So that's interesting. The AI thinks there might be an API key exposed in the query parameters. Yeah, it's still doing like user email and sensitive input is echoed. Okay, well, that's interesting. But let's go, and there's a few things here that we can see that are important. One is, the most interesting thing for developers is that if you go click the send to AI button, we'll click it, it'll do the fallback. So it'll copy to the clipboard because we're in Visual Code. If we're in Cursor, it actually sends a prompt to the AI to tell it how to fix the issue. This is the AI coding prompt. It says you're a senior security engineer. Instead of including API key equals that, that's kind of crazy. Yeah. You probably shouldn't do that. It also has access to the JavaScript, so it knows what these things are, what's going on in here. But you can just click that and it will send it to the AI to fix it. Soon there'll be a way to make just always just immediately send the fix prompts back to the AI. So then the AI that generates the code can kick off the AI testing agents, and they can work together while developers are having coffee. In here, you can also copy the bug. You can also say like, hey, maybe I just don't care about this issue. This one we probably do. But you can say ignore for this app or ignore for all URLs and apps. And lastly, we can go in here and click a star button and say, this is great. I really want this to be that's for reporting issues, but also telling the AI, good robot, thanks for catching this. And then down here below, let me close this guy. We can also add a comment, say, super scary fix. And then when we do that, it'll be saved and exported into a report if we wanted to do a kind of quality report dashboard. So then what's also interesting, if you notice, it says AI triaged, right? So the AI is actually gone. So once the first tester, the AI testing agents found this issue, Sharon, it was reviewed by that test manager, and the test manager knows what we told it before. Really care about accessibility, but really only tell us about ship blockers, frankly. But we can also adjust that, like here, only adjust issues that would impact money or reputation, for example. And then you can save those instructions. And then when the AI on the next run triages bugs again, it'll use that instruction. And that can be anything you want it to be. You can say, don't file these types of issues. Definitely look for these, or these are more or less important. And you can update it at your whim. And you can also apply it manually. So we just set it. We can reapply that triage to the issues that are in here. So it'll spin here and it's triaging the issue. And yeah, it'll re-triage them for us. So if we come back over here, so we look at coverage, main thing that's interesting in here is this is a list of all the things that were checked. So issues or problems we found, right, that need to be resolved and fixed, probably, and triaged. But how many things did the AI test for, right? What did it check for? But you can look at them. This is kind of a accumulation of all the things in the individual tester lists of what they check, but it's all in one spot. But you'll see here that it'll also show you the ones that, like from privacy analysis, it'll show you which ones caused a failure, right? An issue, how these be resolved. So you can see what was checked and what passed and what failed and didn't pass. So you can get a good long view of all that data. Also, what's interesting up here is we have some stats right up in the top here. First of all, we'll get to that in a second. So they found 6 issues. So it's found 6 issues that the AI thinks Bing should probably fix on their page. 3 testers were used, 3 virtual testers were enabled. It can be up to 30 or as many as you want. Basic. So this is basic is the count of the intersection of personas times things to test, like a console log or screenshot, for example. So there's a lot of testing happened. There's 209 DOM elements that are interesting. So it doesn't count every span or div, only the interesting content and stuff on the page. And that's all checked. The text of the page is now analyzed separately. For example, for things like grammar, spelling errors, all that kind of stuff. Also, there were 4 console log messages and there were 769. It's a chatty page, but there were over 700 network calls while loading Bing, which is kind of nuts. And then we had 3 personas give feedback. And then lastly, this unique. This is if you look at every console. So this number here, 326, is just if you count console logs, quote unquote, all together as one evaluation. But if you look at each individual item, like each individual DOM element, each individual network call, etc., at times the matrix of the things that we are checking for, the AI testing agents, we've had 1,000 unique specific tests. You can't even do that. So even with a very large test team today, not only can you not do it, that would take weeks or months and be incredibly expensive. But we've done all that checking with just a mouse click in a couple minutes. So to that end, this is a breakdown of, it's kind of an ROI calculator, just kind of to think about. So I made the calculator so no one would be unhappy. The reality is this is obviously thousands of times actually faster than having humans do this test coverage. But I thought people are too skeptical. I said this caveat at the bottom. These are, generous estimates. But if you just look at it as, forget all the unique tests. If you just looked at it like the basic tests of look at the DOM console times the testers, and then kind of a rough guesstimate of the hours that they would take for them to do that. Not all the precision that the AI can do, but like at general high level, the screenshot, like did the tester look at it, right, for a couple seconds? Did they look at the console logs? If you add all that time up, very conservatively, you'd say there was 6.5 hours of testing to get that kind of high level coverage. And you compare it to what it would cost to do it manually. It's just kind of fun to look at. But in reality, human testers, I've known this because I've been one for a long time. We just can't deliver that level of checking on every build or every, and this is also just for one page times all the other pages you have on your, so it's a pretty dramatic difference. And it's more testing, to be clear too, than if you're vibe coding or you're testing locally as a developer, you're not spending 6.5 hours, let alone or hundreds of hours, checking and testing everything every time. Yeah, things slip through. So we can also go in here and generate a report. So we've starred 2 issues, which means, we wanted to include in the report. You can change, the brand name. You can even change that language, which is kind of fun. So you can have the report and even the content of the bugs and stuff translated to different languages. We have customers in like Germany, right? And they test a German web page. So they want, and they work in German. So they want the bugs that are exported and everything even to be and reported on to be in German. But you can see here, this is a quick report. Here's some issues, persona feedback, and then down here is a detailed list of all the different checks that were performed that we saw earlier. And lastly, we can also see here, if we do this, you can also export to Jira or our own custom native JSON format for AI, which has a lot of more rich fields. It's a lot more data and context, and even like includes the suggested prompt for the AI to fix the issue. And again, you can pick your language. We'll literally be adding Klingon in the next build, which is kind of fun. And you can pick any one of your formats, Jira, Mocha, Azure DevOps, whatever, TeamCity, Jenkins, and you can export these issues to that file format if you want to enter it quickly into your bug tracking systems. But as a developer, you know what? The cool thing here is it may not even have to round trip through Jira, right? Because we've found the bugs, we have the prompt, just give it back to the AI and it will fix it. And no one needs to know. It's just resolved, never cost downstream time, money, or frustration. And the saying is like, the earlier you fix a bug, the far cheaper it is. And you can see here, if we don't even have to enter that bug into Jira or export it or whatever, we just fix it right away. We find and fix it inside the IDE, inside the development environment, as soon as the code was changed. That's like crazily faster than the turnaround time of finding and fixing downstream later in the process. So this is a, and also accessibility issue here. Remember, we told it we care about accessibility. We're really trying to ship fast, but really care about accessibility. So it pushed that up to the top, but it thinks the search box placeholder text is not enough contrast, right? It's a WCAG violation. So yeah, this is real bugs on real websites, fully customizable if you want. There's default opinionated triage, but it's fully customizable triage. You really get all this stuff with just a single click. It's kind of crazy, but AI is crazy these days. And really generative AI is creating buggy code that needs to be tested and turning a lot of developers into testers. But my hope is that with developers that are doing Gen AI code, that they'll have Gen AI testing agents as well. And that'll just speed everything up. And they can focus on the fun and hard problems that the AI can't handle, with the fun bugs the AI can't find or fix, and more, more higher level fun kind of things instead of just testing all day. I was seeing as an anecdote, I'll just say that like every time I watched the GPT releases, like even GPT-5, it was funny. Like, you watch the video of them demoing everything, and really what the demos are they, they go in, they launch cursor agent, coding agent, they type some stuff in, and then a bunch of text flashes by, right? And then just start talking. They have filter conversation because they're waiting for the AI, which is amazing, but it takes a minute or two. Then the AI makes the code changes, and then what do? They stop their little side conversation to buy time and distract. They load up the web page and they look at it and they go like, oh, did the page actually load? Oh, cool. Yeah. Oh, and here's the feature I asked it to do. That's awesome. It looks like it's working. It has a bug over here. I'll have to tell it to fix that. And then they type that into cursor and agent and say, hey, can you fix this? And then it does. But what are they doing? They're slow. They're humans. It's not fun work, to be frank. And it's the thing that AI is not doing for people today. it's causing the problem and it's not being resolved. So anyway, so that's the goal of Testers AI, the new Testers AI IDE extension. If you're listening right now at this moment, we're in early release access. We're just starting that. So thank you for signing up. Love and appreciate any feedback and all feedback. And I want to make sure this note. So you can click here, send feedback, and you can upload screenshots or ask any question or give whatever feedback you want. Be super helpful. I'm super interested in hearing from you. And if we look here, and this will be funny later years, but we'll do it for posterity. If you're in the early release testing, so if you go to Testers.ai, sign up for the early release testing, you have a code here. That code will, if you're watching this, I consider you part of early release, but you get, a discount for the next year. Pricing also, by the way, might change, will probably change, but you can get a free discount code and we'll take care of you for life for being an early adopter and being helpful. And then also, to be clear, there's a lot more fun stuff coming too. But if you want the same kind of thing integrated into your CI/CD, or you want a command line interface for this kind of stuff, it's available and it's already in production at other enterprises today. But so you can get access to that in the enterprise plan. You can also get support if you want support, especially with integrations and stuff. And then lastly, there's this Iceberg QA. So if you want just somebody else to do all this stuff for you, to do all this testing on multiple web pages and extra triage, you can talk to somebody. You don't have to integrate it to your CI/CD, and you can even have human testers if you want, have human testers go in and do extra testing based on what the AI has found, and to double review and triage the issues. All that white glove treatment is available at Iceberg QA. You can just go there and we'll just take care of you. If you want to go pro now and lock in some savings, and the first month is free, by the way, as of the recording of the video, you just click that and just run through Stripe and you've got access to pro. And we'll take care of you. If you sign up now, we'll take care of you forever. And thanks. Yeah, thanks. It's a new world. It's kind of crazy that I've always dreamed, I'll finish with this. I've always dreamed that this type of thing might be possible, but never really thought it would be. I've always thought, well, why can't AI not just code, but can it just test? Can't the software basically just test itself? Forget even AI. Can the software test itself? And, and humans just focus on the fun, it's weird, interesting stuff, figuring it out from understanding the full context. Yeah, the world's changing fast. AI is making developers testers. They don't want to be testers. Let's help speed up software engineering and improve software quality. Thank you. Keep in touch.